This edition is for the brand new Financial Integrity Strike Force, the Financial Integrity Task Force of Donald Trump, Christopher Wray, and Jeff Sessions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, back in the 1980s, this guy right here began exposing the massive, widespread, out of control savings and loan and banking fiasco. The reality of the mega billions that were looted during the 1980s have in fact been the catalyst, if you will, of the giant multi-trillion dollar fleecing the American people got during the 90s and into the 2000s when the bubbles started popping in the massive rigged, everything's rigged, real estate speculation market. Now, to my old friends down in Conroe, Texas, Montgomery County, Harris County, Houston, Texas, the colonialists have always been all over the state. They're in Hawaii, they're in California, they're in Utah, they're in Nevada, they're in Oregon, they're in Washington State, they're in Idaho, Florida, Arizona, Missouri, New York, Maine. They're all over the country. The Carolinas, Georgia, Florida's full of them. These speculative real estate schemes and speculative real estate scams are exactly what the Clintons were doing in Kennesaw. You and your FBI agents are trash. Like Jimmy Comey. You're nothing more than lying trash, Mr. Democrat. Oh, everybody needs to vote Democrat. Yeah, right, Jimmy Comey. Your connections with Mueller, HSBC Bank, UBS Bank, and or USB or whatever they call them, and the douchebag bank, the German bank, connected to the LDS Mormon Church. Good old douchebag bank and Select Portfolio Services. The same exact stinking racket as Superior Bank of Penny Pritzker and Lee Farkas and DocX and LPS and that whole gang from Bank of America. You know, Charlotte, North Carolina, that Bank of America. And this list just goes on and on and on and on and on. Now, to former U.S. Secret Service agent Rick Williams. Works up in the Woodlands, Texas for Phillips or Conoco Petroleum. He's head of their security. And to my old friend Kat Wolford, who's currently a consultant to the World Bank and the IMF, and her pal, Catherine Austin Fitts, and her other pal, Linda Minor, what I stood in front of the Montgomery County Commissioner's Court during the administrations of Jimmy C. Edwards III, Alvin Stahl, and my good old pal, Alan Barb Sadler. Now everybody pay attention. These dirt dealing rackets, exactly like what the Clintons were doing in Arkansas. The land swindles and land schemes, exactly like what Clinton and his partners were doing with the Madison Guarantee, Kenneth Starr, Jimmy Comey. These things are all over the nation. And this is how they finance politicians' campaigns. The massive amounts of money stolen from U.S. banks, mortgage companies, savings and loans, and federal lending agencies like Fannie and Freddie and HUD all go around the side door, come in the back way, into the campaign coffers of Barack Obama, Jimmy Carter, everybody remembers the Sunshine State Bank, and the CIA. And let's see, Bank of America and the CIA. And I don't know, Deutsche Bank and the CIA. And the list just goes on and on and on. And if you think I'm goofing around, get a hold of Peter Bruton. Hi, Pete. Small world, isn't it, Pete Bruton? The massive gargantuan lootings from uptown Houston all around Lamar Terrace there. The Triad boys. Yeah, the Triad of Khashoggi, Ghorbanifar, the Bin Ladens, Michael Atkinson, Bobby Corson, George H. Bush, George W. Bush, and the Clintons from the Houstonian estates. How about that, Barb Sadler? The Clintons and the Bushes were posseing up right there across from Memorial Park on the 26th floor of the Houstonian estates, which I just happened to build, Judge Sadler. How about that, Barb? Old Judd built the Bush residence at the Houstonian estates and was smack dab in the middle of Charlie Wilson's war. How about that, Donald Trump? Isn't that something? The old the Trump princess there, and Khashoggi, and gee, golly whiz, uptown Houston, right? Now, Mark Lombardi, there's an interesting fellow for you. Gary Webb, Professor William Black. I can keep going on here from Don Bowles to Paul Friggins. Paul Friggins. You know, beware of the ranchero racketeering Clintons. Beware of the ranchero racketeers, Paul Friggins and Don Bowles, and the Arizona Project. Oh, and Jimmy Carter, the Sunshine State Bank. Because obviously, Habitat for Humanity, they're in the real estate business, aren't we, Jimmy Carter? We make an awful lot of money from Habitat for Humanity. Isn't this correct? Peanut Farmer and the Sunshine State Bank. Now let's move along here to the Deutsche Bank. I call them the douchebag bank. The Nazis of Germany and Switzerland. The Octagon. That's for Senior Federal District Judge Lynn Hughes in Houston. The Octopus and the Octagon, Judge Hughes. You know, everything's rigged. Lynn. Judge Lynn Hughes, everything's rigged in this swamp.